Welcome to Frost AstroPhotography. I had a very good start to the 24-25 season, and I have about 30 hours already so far in. Looks like it's going to be a clear night, and the moon is also going to be keeping away, so I'm going to hopefully gather some O3 data on the latest project. Project is the Cave Nebula, and I'm going to gather data with my H-alpha, oxygen 3 and sulfur 2 narrowband filters. I'm going to open up my observatory and check to see that everything is okay for a night of imaging. My telescope is ready to go. I don't have any lens caps on. I usually keep those off if the weather is going to be okay for a few nights in a row. I put them on if there's going to be a longer period of bad weather. The telescope is parked right now in the observatory park position, aimed at my flat panel over here. And that will enable me to take flats automatically through Nina without going out into the observatory. I can also power the telescope and mount from the inside using my home automation system. That will power the heat bands and all the equipment that you see on here. And then I can just click a button and allow Nina to start capturing the data that I'm aiming for. In the floor you will see my power supplies and the computer hosting Nina that I control from within my house. Let's close this up and wait for it to get dark. We are going to take a look at the processing of SH2-155 Cave Nebula. You can see that I have 3 stacked and drizzled master files, one for HA, one for S2 and one for O3. I actually have a total of 193 frames for this image. A total of 16 hours, and that is 67 HA, 66 O3 and 60 S2. I've actually gathered this data over the course of 8 different nights here at 63 degrees north. I've been fairly lucky with the weather so far, but not enough hours each night. But still, I was able to gather enough data for me to feel comfortable with creating an image of this. I have a fairly high quality, I would say. I'm spoiled here with the bortle 4. Well, I don't have a bortle 1 or 2, but at least I'm not in a big city with bortle 7, 8 or 9. So the HA looks great here. The S2, reasonably good. The O3 is also reasonably good. We have some halos here around a few of the bright stars. We are going to address that later on in the processing. So the first thing I do here is that I crop out the stacking artifacts here. You can see it if I zoom in at the edges here of the image. We have some stacking artifacts, and you want to crop out that. So start a dynamic crop and adjust this image, or one of the images, I would say. The one with the most stacking artifacts would be preferable. When you're happy with the setting here, you could drag this triangle to the desktop and save the process with the settings, or you can take this triangle directly and drag it onto the other images for the other filters before accepting this. And that way you will have the exact same crop on all 3 of the filters. I will quickly go through the normal linear phase steps that I take. First, I will do the dynamic crop, as you can see here already, as I've shown you right now. Then I normally do a dynamic background extraction. And if you do have some extra light pollution or some other gradients in your image, you can use the process gradient correction and run that also on your frames, just to see if it will take care of that problem. Then I will do a linear fit that will adjust the brightness and levels of all of the other frames to a reference frame. I normally choose the H alpha. So you start linear fit and you choose a reference image. In this case, I will choose my H alpha here, and then I will execute this by dragging the triangle onto the other images that I want to linearly fit to this image. I then ran the blur exterminator as normal. You can see that there is a big difference, and the noise exterminator. So you can compare the results here for the first step to the last in the linear phase. You can see that we have improved a lot here. We have sharpened the non-stellar objects. We have sharpened and reduced the stars, and we have significantly reduced the noise in the frame to the left here. This process has been reproduced on the S2 and O3 filters as well, with one exception, and that is for the O3 filter. I did address the halos. I'm going to show you now how I did that and the results. So this is the O3 stacked with the dynamic background extraction on, nothing else. You can see that we have some annoying halo up here, and we also have a little bit of a halo on this star, and maybe a little bit down here, but mainly these two. So I have reduced the halos on this image to the right here. I've also run the blur exterminator before addressing the halos. So you can see that we have a significantly reduced halo. Even if you can see it when you zoom in, it is a lot less than it was on the left here. You can also see that the star has been reduced, and that's blur exterminator. So one trick that you can do, when zoomed out, you can't really see any halos now, or just a little bit maybe, but that will basically disappear in the further processing that we do. One thing that you can do to prepare the halo processing is when you run Blur Exterminator, I normally use the default settings, and the adjust star halos is at 0. That is normally fine for me. I usually run with that on all frames, but if I have a frame with halos like this, I usually try to lower it, let's say minus 0.15, maybe minus 0.20, or I don't go any lower than that, but you can play around with this setting. If you have halos, try to decrease this setting and run Blur Exterminator first to see if that will reduce the stars and of course the halos as well a little bit more than it normally does. Like I said, I have a complete video on how to address and handle halos, but I can just run through the process with you quickly. I start off with the script here that I have in Utilities and Game. If you don't have that installed, you can Google it, or I will include a link in my description. Enable Auto STF to get a preview, change your mask to a binary, and then add a ellipse or circle to your image. Adjust that to fit around the halo that you have visible on your screen. You have to play around with this setting a little bit to get it to fit exactly over or slightly outside, I would say. When you're done, press OK. You will end up with a mask looking like this. You will need to run some convolution on that mask to avoid the sharp edges. You can use these settings that I have in my convolution. It's a bit blurred, you can see. You will apply that mask to the image, and you can try to invert it if you want to protect the halo, but we don't want to do that, so invert it back and remove show mask so you can see how to work with it. You can then open up histogram transformation tool, make sure that you select the image that we are going to work on, press preview, then you can make a little preview circle around your star to get it zoomed in, I would say. You can then play around with this setting here, adjusting the mid levels. So you can see when I'm decreasing this, dragging it to the right here, I'm decreasing the halo. If I do it too much, it will be black around this, so I will have to do this in increments, and when I've decreased this in size, I might have to make a smaller mask to be able to decrease the levels further in if I want to. If you end up with a line outside here, you can use the clone stamp tool just to slightly adjust and blur the edges of the residues from the halo there. So that was the linear processing done to these images. The next step is, of course, to move into the non-linear processing. That always starts with stretching the images I usually use histogram transformation. You can use what you are most comfortable with. The first thing I do in the linear phase after stretching the images is to make starless and star versions with the star exterminator. I always use the default settings. I find that it works fine for me. So here we have the S2, the O3 and the HA stretched. You can see that the HA is much higher quality. I'm not so happy with my 7nm filters. I would like to someday get some exciting 3nm high quality filters. We will see about that. After running a star exterminator, I will get a star version and a starless version of each. Here we have the S2, O3 stars, O3 starless. I think you would have a better result with a 3nm high-end filter. You can see that there's not any big halo problems on the stars here. That is good news. The HA stars and the HA starless. Now this is a very good quality image, so I wouldn't have to do anything about that. What I do next is to normally combine the three narrowband filters into an RGB color image using some kind of popular way, let's say SHO, 4XX or HOO or whatever is suitable for the object. In this case, I do want to reduce the background noise here of the S2 and O3 a little bit. I think that will interfere a bit with the final image. One way of doing that is to use the HA frame here. I will make a copy of that. I will make it an RGB color image and extract the luminance of that image. Now I can make a mask of this. I will minimize this HA for now. I can take my histogram transformation here and I can select my image. I can make a preview if I want to. I will drag this a little bit into the right side to just reduce the background. I will drag this a little bit to the right also. And then I will execute it. Now I have a mask. I want to blur the edges here. So I have a tool or settings in the multiscale linear transformation tool that I use when I make color masks to adjust the colors. And this will basically blur the edges of this image. I will run through that. You can copy these settings here if you want to use it. And now you can see that it is blurred, so we won't get some strange behavior when using the mask. I will now apply the mask to my image. I will make sure that I can see it. In this case, I will have to invert the mask to protect the foreground. Then I will remove show mask again so I can see what I'm working on. I will open up curves transformation and a preview. The goal here is to not touch so much of the nebulosity here, but the background. Even though it will be a bit affected, you will see that I will reduce this too, but I don't see that I have a choice here. So I will just slightly like this reduce the level here to make it like this, which is a lot better than this, I would say, when you're combining these with the H alpha later on. I would say it will be a better result. If you would have better filters with a higher quality, you wouldn't need to do this if you didn't shoot during a full moon, for example, or if you had any other light pollution source. I will have 3 starless versions with the background adjusted for my H alpha, my O3 and my S2. I will then use pixel math to combine these into a single RGB image. You could also use some other tool. I tried it with the 4x palette script here. I didn't really like the result, but you know, some other may do that. So I'm making an SHO. That means that I will need to use the S2 here for red, the HA for green, and the O3 for blue here. Now you can see that I have my color image, and then I will go through my normal steps in order to adjust this image to my liking, starting with SCNR and then some color corrections. I normally create color masks before moving on. Before doing anything else to this image, I will create color masks using this script here for cyan and yellow, and that will allow me to adjust blue and red only in this image. Before moving forward, I want to bring out the blue and red orange colors of this image. Here we have the images representing the steps in my non-linear phase, starting with the one that I just shown you, integrated without any measures taken on it. After that, I run SCNR. I normally run SCNR to remove 80% of the green when it is in its normal state. Then I will invert the image and remove 100% of green to get rid of these magenta things here. I then adjusted the colors that I talked about using my color script, and I also use this script that is included in the toolbox here, the selective color correction. I very much like that script. I can select different colors or shades or highlights or midtones and separately adjust them without making manual masks. That is a very good script. I then run through the sharpening routine. I use multi-scale linear transformation and unsharp mask. And after that, I also run TGV denoise to remove some of the noise in this image. After that, I sometimes use the dark structure enhance script. In this case, there's a lot of dark structures and I want to bring those forward. I really like it sometimes and sometimes not, but in this case I did. And as a final step, I did some extra color corrections. I wanted to really add some extra dynamic to the blue and the center of this nebula, just to get it to pop out. Keep in mind that when you combine with stars, you will also lose a little bit of the brightness in this image when adding another on top of it or joining them together. So don't be afraid to add a little bit of extra color if you think it look nice. What do we do with the stars? In the best case scenario, I would have had time and weather, I would say, opportunity to do RGB stars. I really like RGB stars. I almost never collect RGB data because I seldom have long periods of time with optimum conditions here at 63 degrees north. I live by the ocean and I usually get fog, mist, clouds, other things. Then we have moon. In the autumn now, ice crystals in the air, a couple of degrees minus Celsius. So I usually have to work with my narrowband stars. So you can combine these in a few different ways. I usually go with SHO stars. It's a bit warmer nuance and color. You can combine them with the 4XX script. You will get a little bit of colder, more bluish stars. But I took these three and combined them into SHO stars. I then added some saturation on the red and blue to get the stars to pop out a little bit, because I am going to reduce them. So this is the normal image. And when I have reduced these stars, they look like this. So I don't want too much stars or too many stars in the image. I really want to have the nebulosity to be the main event, so to speak. So I'm gonna go with SHO stars. I'm gonna go with a reduced version, and to reduce them you don't really need anything other than the histogram transformation. You select the SHO stars, you then drag this middle lever one block to the right here, and then you execute that. And then you have reduced your stars. There are other ways, of course, that you can use. I find that this is a fairly simple way, but effective. The final step is, of course, to join back together the starless version and the stars. If you've seen my videos, you would know that I always do them the same way. If it's a narrowband image and SHO anyway. I haven't really tried the colorized version of SHO, where you color each of the filters separately and then join them together. I've done some versions of H alpha images, like the flying dragon that I did before this one. That was only H alpha. Actually, the SHO was only for the stars. But the Pixel Math is a very trusted tool. One little click, it takes less than a second. Then you have the combined image. And then I, of course, did some final color adjustments to the image here. And you can see the final result here. The Cave Nebula in SHO, 16 hours, 193 light frames of data with SHO stars reduced. I hope you have enjoyed this video. I hope you like the image. So I will see you in the next video, and hopefully we will all have some clear skies here to gather data on the next project. Thank you so much for watching this video, and as always, if you like it, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing if you're not already doing so. If you feel like you want to support me and the work with these videos, there is an option listed in the video description that you can use. Until the next video, I wish you have clear skies.